Are you somebody who's suffering from asthma and perhaps you're dependent on medications? Well, watch till the end of this video because I'm going to share with you a full explanation on how simple breathing exercises can help you be less dependent on asthma medications and even stop asthma from happening altogether. Also, I'm going to share with you a daily protocol that you can use every day to get you on the way to really being asthma free. Okay, so I'm somebody who suffered from asthma as a kid, and there were certain triggers for the asthma that I noticed. And I'm not talking about the asthma that's caused by environmental triggers. I'm talking more about the kind of asthma that is usually a chronic problem for most people. It's stress related and is often something that they've had since childhood and it doesn't seem to go away. So the types of asthma that this isn't going to be for is the ones triggered by allergies such as hay fever, dust particles, bed bugs, dust mites, pollen, even like certain foods can trigger asthma. And then there's also like cold, damp weather. So when I was in England, like that cold, damp weather, when it went into the winter months, would really trigger these kind of sinus issues and asthma symptoms. So this, the habits that I'm going to share with you are beneficial for anyone, regardless, and it can also help prevent the symptoms of allergies and things like that from really affecting you. But they're not going to really cure those problems. That sometimes the best cure for these things is to minimize your exposure to them as much as possible. And in some cases, you might need to take certain remedies like antihistamines, or you may, if you've got really serious problems with asthma, need to use medications in these situations to prevent it from getting too bad. But for chronic asthma and usually like autoimmune types of asthma, this is really going to help, because that kind of asthma is mostly caused by, in my research and experience, from the wrong breathing habits and the body having an overreaction towards stress, all right, where it has an exaggerated stress response, where you become overinflamed. So this technique I'm going to share with you is going to help you minimize your inflammation in your body during the day, and this, if you follow this protocol, will train you to have healthy breathing habits, and through the understanding of how they work, you should be able to apply this in your day-to-day life to actually help prevent asthma from happening altogether. Okay, so what triggers this inflammation? Why do we get asthma in the first place? Okay, first I want to give you one of the facts that actually I got from Dr. Buteyko. Buteyko spoke a lot about asthma, and actually the Buteyko method is a great method that actually has a lot of scientific evidence behind how it helps with asthma, the kind of asthma I'm talking about. In SOMA breath, we've gone more to the root of these techniques, which is pranayama, and use music and other techniques with it to enhance it, the whole process. So if you want to learn more about SOMA breath, check out the link in the video description, and you can sign up for a masterclass and learn how you can use these techniques and also become an instructor yourself. But I'm going to be talking about the techniques we use from SOMA breath. But in Buteyko method, they talk about the evidence that suggests, and this is really interesting, that asthmatics who don't use inhalers actually outlive asthmatics who do use the inhalers. And the reasoning behind this is because that the asthma symptoms that they're getting is actually a response of the body to prevent overbreathing, too much oxygen going in and too much carbon dioxide being breathed out of the system. Okay, now why is this the problem? Now let's talk about the oxygen-carbon dioxide balance. So when we breathe in oxygen, the oxygen comes in and is absorbed by the lungs. It goes into the bloodstream, it binds to hemoglobin, where it's transported to our cells in our body. And then through a process called the Bohr effect, the oxygen comes off red blood cells, goes into the tissue cells organ cells. And this Bohr effect requires the right amount of carbon dioxide for the oxygen to lose its affinity for hemoglobin and go into the cells. Okay? This is essential for you to be able to get the oxygen where it needs to go. And if you have oxygen stuck to red blood cells for too long, okay, it can lead to other issues like oxidative stress and inflammation within your blood vessels. Okay? And this over-oxygenation of your red blood cells, where you don't have enough carbon dioxide, leads to a lot of other disorders like stress, panic, even anxiety, hypertension, high blood pressure, and things like that. So, also asthma. So, by actually understanding this and knowing that you need to actually bring carbon dioxide up, okay, in your blood, in your physiology, this can actually help you understand why these techniques work. Okay, so in pranayama, the goal of pranayama was really to slow your breathing down so you feel like you need to breathe less over time to get the same amount of energy. Okay, so what this will mean is that the techniques of pranayama are designed to make you more efficient using oxygen, as efficient at using oxygen as possible. Okay, and we're going to share what those techniques are. But in order to slow breathing down, slow your respiration down, there are also other techniques. One of them is called slow rechaka, okay, where you're extending your exhalation. So when you breathe in, and you must always breathe in through your nose acts like a filter, and the filter also prepares the air for oxygenation, and that can, in itself, by just changing from mouth breathing to nose breathing, can help prevent asthma attacks, right? Because when you breathe in through your mouth, you actually don't have that filter and you over-breathe. And this is where you get this problem of over-breathing that can get rid of all the carbon dioxide and lead to oxidative stress. So when you switch to nose breathing and you breathe in through your nose and you slow your exhalation down, where you start to breathe out for a longer time than you breathe in. Okay, so in through your nose. And when you breathe in, you want to breathe into your diaphragm. So your diaphragm rises first, then your belly. And then if you just gently exhale, slowly, this is called slow rechaka. And if you make this into a routine where you do this for several minutes a day, this will calm you down. And also, when you start to feel those symptoms of stress, and those who have suffered from asthma, you may know that stress can often lead to an asthma attack. Well, just by slowing your breathing down like that, what it does is it gives you a chance to keep your carbon dioxide levels high. And this is essential for getting the oxygen off the red blood cells and where it needs to go. Okay? And carbon dioxide is also a vasodilator. It dilates blood vessels. It's a bronchodilator, which is important. Nitric oxide is also a bronchodilator and is also produced by this extending your exhalation, slowing your breathing down, and when you breathe in through your nose, you stimulate nitric oxide. So the two best friends for asthma are carbon dioxide and nitric oxide, which is produced by slowing your breathing down and breathing through your nose. Okay? Another way to slow your breathing down is to do alternate nostril breathing, where you shut off one nostril, you breathe in, close and breathe out the alternate nostril into that. The right, close, breathe out through your left. That slows your breathing right down even more because you're only breathing in through one nostril, okay, at a time. This actually also increases production of nitric oxide, and that's a bronchodilator. So all of these techniques can help you have enough nitric oxide and carbon dioxide to lower inflammation and stay dilated and not contracted, thus preventing asthma. Okay, so we've just talked about slow rechaka. We talked about anulom vilom, alternate nostril breathing. Doing several of these a day, like several minutes a day, of a sequence using this is going to help you start to train yourself to have healthy breathing habits and keeping carbon dioxide and nitric oxide high. I'm going to share another one which you can add to it, and that is simply either slowing your exhale down and breathing out through a small straw like this. So taking a deep breath in and then breathing out very slowly through a small straw. So when you breathe out like that, you calm your nervous system down. You stimulate the parasympathetic, you stimulate the vagus nerve. When you actually purse your lips like that and breathe out like you're breathing through a straw, it actually affects your vagus nerve. And when you say I am calm in your mind, calms the nervous system right down. Just calms the nervous system. And you can even say that mantra, I am calm, I am calm. This can also help prevent an asthma attack as well and keep yourself nice and dilated. Okay? So you can also chant Om. So you may have heard the famous mantra Om. Well, when you chant Om, you also stimulate vagus nerve and lower inflammation in the body and calm the nervous system down. So to do that, you'd again breathe in to the diaphragm, into your chest. And just keep repeating that. It's really calming for your nervous system. But always remember you breathe in through your nose. Okay? Never breathe in through your mouth when you're doing this. Okay. So we've covered slow rechaka. We've covered the mantra just then. We also covered alternate nostril breathing. Okay? These are some of the core techniques from pranayama. Okay? Now we're going to move into some more advanced techniques. Okay? The first one is called Nishesha Rechaka, and this is holding your breath beyond the comfort zone. And this triggers a cascade of positive effects in the body by stimulating a physiological state called intermittent hypoxia. Okay, it's where you lower the oxygen for a short period of time. Now I know you may be freaking out now because you have asthma and you're like, why should I be lowering oxygen? That doesn't sound healthy. Well, actually, when you do it for a brief period like this, it's really beneficial. Okay, it actually strengthens your nervous system. It's like really training, going to a gym and training and working out and building more muscle. This is like building the muscle of your respiratory system and making you more efficient using oxygen. And over time, you'll need to breathe less. Your nervous system calms down, and you have an easier ability to absorb oxygen and use oxygen, which actually also prevents asthma, because when you have less need to breathe, you don't overbreathe as much. You don't breathe in so much of this oxygen causing this stress, and you don't breathe out all the carbon dioxide. And therefore, this is one of the most powerful techniques for preventing asthma. Okay, so how do we do that? So I'm just going to show you a fast variation of this, okay, where you're using Bhastrika followed by breath retention. Now in SOMA breath, we go into a much more elaborate but more powerful way of doing this that's really, really beneficial for your health. And it also uses music and visualization techniques that amplifies the whole effect. So definitely check out a masterclass below this video and test that out. But I'm just going to show you a quick method of doing this. So what you're going to do is 20 reps of rhythmic breathing. Okay, breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth in a rhythm like this. And if you can actually extend your exhalation, so your exhale is a bit longer than your inhale. Into the belly, into the chest then. Gently exhale in a rhythm. Do that for around 20 to 30 times. And then you're going to start to feel a tingly sensation. What's happened here is through that little bit of hyperventilating, you breathe out all the carbon dioxide. This is going to allow you to hold your breath longer than you normally can, because it's carbon dioxide that triggers your brain to breathe again. So when you have less carbon dioxide in your system, it means you can hold your breath even longer. And this is where the magic happens. So when you get that tingly buzzing feeling of doing 20 to 30 reps, you breathe in and you breathe out. You let a little hiss, not a very strong hiss. You're not causing any contraction, just a relaxed hiss. Let go of any air, and then hold your breath and let your head drop forward. You're just going to hold your breath to get the first urge to breathe. When you get that first urge to breathe, count down in your mind from 10 to 0, and you'll start to feel this rush sensation building up in your spine, because you'll be able to trick your brain into holding your breath for even longer, and this energy builds up. And at that point, take a deep breath in and hold your breath in for around 30 seconds, and then make a tone. Like that. And that finishes the sequence. So 20 to 30 reps of rhythmic breathing where you're extending your exhalation. Okay? Then a breath retention on the exhale for as long as you can. And then breathing in and holding your breath on the inhale for around 30 seconds. And then making a tone at the end, like an Om at the end to finish. And then you can do a couple of rounds of that. This is one of the most powerful techniques you can do to start helping you to prevent asthma and even prevent asthma attacks. And even this will have a strengthening effect over your whole physiology, and it can actually help prevent any inflammatory conditions, because asthma usually can lead to other things over time if you don't do something about it. And as I said, quite often asthma is a side effect of your body's trying to stop you from overbreathing. So if we can train ourselves to have good, healthy habits, we won't need to have those asthmatic symptoms. Okay. Now, exercise is really important, and the right type of exercise. So quite a lot of people it's quite common actually to get exercise-induced asthma attacks. Now, this is because people start to, when they work out a lot, they breathe through their mouth rapidly and hyperventilate, and like they're panting. And when you breathe through your mouth and hyperventilate like that, it can actually cause inflammation, because your body's trying its hardest to stop that from happening. Okay, to stop you from hyperventilating, to slow the oxygen rate down. Okay. So you get an asthma attack. It's literally your body's going into shock, trying to stop you from breathing so hard. Okay? So during exercise, okay, if you're doing any kind of exercise, try to switch from mouth breathing to nose breathing, and slow your breathing down by extending your exhalations. Start doing that as a way to calm your exercise down. Okay? So this is to use when you are exercising and you want to prevent exercise-induced asthma. But this is another way to exercise altogether. Okay? And that's called anaerobic exercise, in the absence of oxygen. So one of the easiest, simple ways is to do a body weight exercise. Choose one, like press-ups. Okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to take an inhale, exhale, hold your breath, and do as many push-ups as you possibly can. Okay? And then that's all you need to do. And what you'll find is every day you do this, you'll be able to do more and more reps as you get more and more adapted to anaerobic exercise, which is the best exercise for your cardiovascular system. When you stop the oxygen supply, okay, so what happens is your cells are forced to use what oxygen supply it's got, and this exercises them to become more efficient in using oxygen. It exercises the mitochondria to be more efficient. It also produces lots of nitric oxide and carbon dioxide, and you get a vasodilation, bronchodilation effects that happen. And also then over time, because you're more efficient at using oxygen, you actually even produce more red blood cells, you get better blood circulation being developed. Your breathing rate slows right down. You become more calm, your nervous system is stronger. And this means that you have less risk of over-breathing, which again is the trigger for asthma. Okay, so that's it. So that's the protocol. Anaerobic exercise, being mindful of mouth breathing versus nose breathing, and using this sequence I showed you, Nishesha Rechaka, to where you do rhythmic breathing and breath retention, to become super efficient using oxygen. And then you can also use alternate nostril breathing as ways to slow down the rate of air and to train yourself again to become more efficient using oxygen. Okay, so this was just an overview of asthma protocol that you can use. You can test this out yourself, or if this was too overwhelming for you and you want things in a more step-by-step method where you can just follow the steps, then sign up for our SOMA Breath Masterclass and join our 21-day awakening journey where you can actually really learn these techniques and embody them and practice them, make them into your habit, and it's all led by an instructor who will guide you through it. And actually a lot of people who go through our 21 days report a release and a relief of all their asthma symptoms. And many people write to us and say that their asthma is gone completely. Because asthma and inflammation of your lungs is one of the first symptoms that you need to do something about your oxygen efficiency and your breathing habits, and to train yourself from being a nose breather rather than a mouth breather. Okay, so best of luck for this, best wishes, positive energy. And remember, if you really love this video, sign up for the masterclass and also subscribe to our channel where you're going to get even more videos like this and you'll never miss another one from me. Okay, much love, positive energy, peace.